Alright, so this is, I don't know where I'm gonna really go with this video. Um, I think I'll put the title as how you should learn, but maybe it should be more like how you could learn or how you could innovate. So, well, I kind of wrote a script, not a script, just jotted some things down, but forgive me for not paying attention to the camera. So yeah, like being in the 21st century, there are like a great many ways of learning something. Like from the beginning of the 1900s, let's just say, we had textbooks, blackboards, and then towards the end, you got PowerPoint presentations, and now the whole online class thing. So there's a few kind of ways or mediums of teaching. But so, like, what works the best? Now, I'm not talking out of my ass for when I say I kind of know what I'm talking about. So I do have some experience in this. Like, just tell you my experience now. Like, I have gone to a good university in a first world country. I have gone to a good university in a third world country, and I've gone to a, for lack of a better word, like low ranked university in a third world country. And yes, so yeah, teaching methods varied. Um, PowerPoint presentations. PowerPoint presentations are like for for board meetings. Like that's like the bread and butter of a board meeting, you know? You put your presentation up there, lots of pretty pictures, graphs, and your bosses are like, "Whoa." But, you know, like to me, those kind of meetings, it's just like everybody's an actor, everybody's playing a game, everybody knows their role, you know? You have the one guy, he puts up the PPT, PowerPoint presentation. I've been in China for so long, we call it PPT. Um, so he puts up the PowerPoint presentation. He spent, I would say, a day doing it, or longer. Um, all these pretty graphs, like whatever, 20%, 25%, 80, not 80%, but you know what I mean. And the roles of the board meeting people are just like, yes, yes, yes. But these things, you know, they 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 could have been an email, you know, like conference calls, video calls. They could have been an email. So yeah, PowerPoint presentations, they have their use case, and I say if your works like that, then that's the use case for a PowerPoint presentation. I'll get more on that in a bit, but yeah, for teaching, teaching students, university students, high school students, whatever, um, yes and no for a PowerPoint presentation. Like, if you're a teacher and you have a PowerPoint presentation, like, move this close to me, you have a PowerPoint presentation, I would say just give it to the students. Let them take it home. Let them review, preview, and you can do something else during the class. Like, like, like I said, I've been to 3 different universities, and they all taught in 3 different ways. And one university, a couple of the teachers, they just prefer to teach with PowerPoint, and the way they I don't know, taught. I'm not really one to judge somebody if I can't do the thing better, you know. Like, if I'm a super fast runner, I can judge slow runners. If I'm really good at something, I feel I have the ability to judge somebody at that. Teaching, I've done teaching before, so I feel I can judge teachers teaching. Um, anyway, they would put the PowerPoint presentation on, and then it would just be like story time. They'll just read it line for line. Like, the PowerPoint presentation's got a lot of information, useful information. Um, I haven't really found a teacher giving us bad information, but it's just, yeah, just like primary school. Sit on the carpet, teacher sits on the chair, reads a story for an hour. and that's it. So the best thing, what I would suggest is you have all these PowerPoints, whether you inherited them from another teacher, got them from the internet, made them yourself, give them to your students to review and preview for the next class. So then you can do something else in the class. Yeah, it's like you already know how to read, I hope. So yeah, the teacher doesn't need to read the PowerPoint for you. Yeah. Now what else? And I have studied 3 very different things. Like, I'm not gonna say what university I studied in. One university I studied to become a vet, which I didn't carry on. Another university I studied language, and another university I studied computer science. Now, the best method I found that I actually managed to retain all my learning, or most of it, was for like using teaching in a way that is like situational. For example, learning a language is really easy to learn a language if you make it all situational. Like, I can still remember learning Chinese and using the Chinese I learned to go and open a bank account. I still remember the same bank, the same city, the same branch. I probably can't remember the staff name, but I remember doing all of that, and I can do it again and again and again. Wow, I've been here for a while. So situational learning is really, really effective. Interaction and all of that. Yeah, it's just like when you can relate something to a past experience. Think of something really horrible that happened to you in your life. You won't forget it. And if there's a lesson behind it, you won't forget the lesson. But if you repeat it, if you repeat the same thing again, then I got nothing to say. So yeah, experiences are hard to forget. First experiences are hard to forget. Yeah, just relate it to something. Yeah, I can remember when I was riding my bike for the first time on 2 wheels instead of one. We call it training wheels. I don't know wherever else in the world calls it. And it was at my sister's intermediate school that backed onto my house where I lived at the time. And I was like 6. And I remember I was like, my sister was like, "You're riding with 2 wheels." I said, "No, I'm not. I got 3 wheels." And I look and the third wheel's kind of like off the ground, and I'm like, wow, I can do it. So yeah, you can always remember your first experiences if they're super memorable. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with something really vintage, like a blackboard. Now, blackboards are great for examples, and they work even better if the teacher gets the students to use the blackboard. Like, I remember in university I had it was algebra class, and I had calculus class as well, but I remember the algebra class even more so because the teacher, one lesson, she says, "Okay, you are gonna teach matrices, you are gonna teach something else, you're gonna teach something else next week. So prepare a lesson, you're gonna be a teacher." And so I did that for like 45 minutes, teaching how to solve matrices and whatnot. It wasn't a blackboard, but it was a electronic board, so all the same. Now, where blackboards, whiteboards, boards fail is when the teacher writes things down with the intention of you just copying it down into your notebook or paper or page or whatever. So a better use of the time is maybe the teacher previous night sends you an email, "This is what we're doing tomorrow," or the last lesson, "This is what we're doing next lesson," and so you can preview it. You don't have to spend so much time in class, because there will be others in class that do preview it, or that are really bright, or just like to learn. And so the teacher will, those students will have to wait for the teacher to make the other students catch up. So if you bring everybody, because there will be those people that preview without being told. And so if you bring everybody into that previewing for the next class state, you can cover so much more in the class, and you can come to the teacher with questions instead of just and writing things down. Okay, this is how it is. Okay. So you can come to the teacher and say, why is it like this way? Can you do it another way? And the teacher can teach you more. Like, I'm going to mention later in the video my teaching experiences, but what I've seen teaching is like some parents, they would expect you to be like the one to teach the child 100% of everything, you know? They want their children to go to school, learn everything, and that's it. They don't want anything to do with it at home, and that's not really the job of the teacher, you know. Like, teacher is there for guidance. That's what I'll say. Teacher is more for guidance. Parents are there for guidance, and together, all this guidance creates a teaching experience. When it is effective for just copying things down from the board is when you're learning a language, and specifically a language that has a different alphabet or writing style or whatever. So like for me, obviously you can see I'm speaking English, so the Romanized characters, and then learning Spanish was very much the same, just a few accents. So I don't need to just copying things down. But learning Chinese, it's very different. So you do need to do that. Copy things down a few times, like 5 times, and then if you just keep that up with all your characters, then 5 times is just enough. Anyway, your learning experiences may vary. Now, textbooks. Teaching through textbooks. Hands up if you went to university and you had a big thick textbook and you only used like 10% of it. Yeah, so textbooks, they provide a lot of information, but yeah, to be honest, my calculus book over there, my physics book over there, I have done, just like I said, 20% of the book. And they are a good way, they are good in a way. They give you the ability to write notes in, you know, like here is a calculation to get the mass velocity squared. You can do it this way, or here is how you calculate, here's gravity, 8 point something meters a second, can't remember. And yeah, it's really good for writing notes down. Yeah, write notes down, references. And so yeah, don't count textbooks as the way of the dinosaur just yet. But maybe if you are doing university studies, I wouldn't, just for the sake of carrying a textbook around all day, you can grab an ebook, or you can buy one of those tablets that you can just write on. Playing videos in class. Now this is sort of the, I think of this the same way as I think of the PowerPoints. It's like, if you have a video, you can just give it to your students and they can watch it at home. Hopefully it's a good video, and yeah. So the kind of videos you really want, again, is something that's interactive, like ones that give you a problem and wait and let you solve it. Those are good videos. Like Khan Academy, I learned a lot from them. Like whoever it is giving the presentation, they might pause it, they might say try and solve it yourself, or you can pause it and try and solve it yourself. And it's really like fulfilling if you get it right before the teacher does. If you can't really attach what you're learning to real world experiences, then maybe you can just hit some kind of free media like YouTube. Why YouTube? Because creators on YouTube have an incentive to create like factual or easy or just a different way of learning something or a way to follow the material, because they like, yeah, they literally get paid for people to view their content. So why not create something that's useful and people can study there? I have suggested this to so many people, like, oh, I need some help with some programming or some doing something, and I said, go and search YouTube, go and ask YouTube, because it's all there. And if it's not there and you're thinking you do better, you can put it there. 2020, one thing that people, especially older people, think that you need is for someone to hold your hand in a classroom, or you won't learn anything. If you are not in the classroom environment there and there's not a person at the front teaching you or talking to you, you won't learn anything, or it's just not as effective. But yeah, if last year 2020 has taught anybody anything, it's that physical location, doesn't matter what industry, to an extent, physical presence is not always needed. Like all these office jobs, you can be at home. Fast food jobs, you have to be on site. Certain jobs you have to be on site. So that's a whole nother thing. If you want to talk about it in the comments, that's fine. How the economy is not going down, but it's kind of shifting position. I believe the economy is just moving, but another video. Next, my next note. How long should a class in university be, and what you should expect to get from it, and homework and assignments. So, should you expect to spend all day at a university? Well, first it depends on the course, but for me I say yes. At least for my computer science course, I did spend all day at university because I had like 4 or 5 classes a day. And okay, so you're there all day, but do you need 3 hours per class? Now, this sort of goes back to when I mentioned about preview, review, or in Chinese they say 复习预习. If you learn Chinese, your Chinese teachers always say go ho, 复习预习, preview, review, review, preview, all of that. And so you always remember those 2 phrases. So anyway, if you review and preview, then I don't see why your classes couldn't just be an hour. More than half an hour, more than half an hour is okay. 45 minutes, that's also okay. If you can get all your students to review and preview, especially preview, then you can get on to other things, or have some fun activities. All right. So, okay, yeah. So yeah, what I believe is a university course planner plans things, if they plan things right, like sets the objectives for the semester. Like at the end of the semester, you should know like how to, I don't know, vaccinate a dog, castrate a dog, check chicken's health, and I don't know, chase a chicken, because that's what I did for my university course. Chase it. It wasn't a chicken. It was like at the zoo, some big monster chicken. So yeah, they chase it and catch it. Anyway, if they set those objectives, then I don't see why every class couldn't be an hour or less. Like to be honest, I use the class time to pick up tasks or objectives, like yeah, I'll pick up an objective like, what's our class? What do we have to do today? Okay, we're doing integration or something. And then so I'll use the class time to pick up the objectives and question the teacher on previous class material I studied after hours, like go home, review. And well, if you have been to university and rely 100% on what the teacher teaches you, and you don't review at home and you don't use the new material after school, you probably won't catch on very well. And I have yet to meet a single person that doesn't have just 10 minutes a day to spend on reviewing something. You will not find somebody so busy. Even when I was back home, at one stage for I think it might be a year and a half, I was working 2 jobs, and those 2 jobs were both 8 hours each, so 16 hours a day. I was lucky because the jobs were almost next to each other and I had an hour gap between them. So I would finish one job, sleep in my car, go to the other job, freshen up, finish that job, go home, sleep for, you can do the math. And I did find time to do other things. So nobody is that busy that they can't spend 10 minutes to review something. And it makes all the difference. Now, homework and assignments. Now, I'm not a teacher. Definitely not. I have instructed, as in previous job, instructed and trained staff in industries I'm familiar with. I have also, for lack of a better word, played teacher for money here in China. I've done it for a long time. I took it seriously and can confidently say what I believe is accurate. This goes off from university, but it does fit in with learning methods. So, now you're all adults, hopefully. Or not hopefully, some of you might be. Anyway, you don't have your parents watching over your every move anymore. It's up to you to know when to do homework, what to prioritize, and what to prepare, how to prioritize your time. So anyway, homework. Review today's class. Preview next day's class or next class. As long as you do that, you can't lose. Or at least that's how I saw it and see it. As a teacher, it's better to give your students, it's better to have your students finish the semester's work early. Like the objectives, maybe 5 objectives, ahead of time. So that you have more time for, filling in the gaps. And, there's no perfect class. There will be, for lack of a better word, stragglers. And they will need more attention and guidance, and that's a good time to spend that time, Like I remember in high school, we might have classes that we don't have to do anything. But the teacher will be like, hey, this is a study class. I'm here. Ask me questions if you need. So that's kind of what you want to have. You want to be able to have those kind of classes before the end of the semester. Now, assignments. Now I think assignments, while they should be counted for marks or whatever, but they shouldn't be perceived in that way. They should be used as in a way like just to see what level you're at, how well you are dealing with the course at the time. So personally, I think assignments are a better form of a test. Like, I had a teacher give out assignments once, and every student's assignment's goal was different. So it involved like research, and class knowledge, and it was great, you know? So assignments done well work well. That's what I think anyway. Now, the topic of this video should be like, how should you learn? Or how could you learn? I have no idea. And yes, I've gone off in tangents and probably doesn't make a lot of sense in some points, in some places too. But I hope if you take anything away from this, is that you try to diversify the way you learn something, or if you're a teacher, the way you teach something, you know? You can think of it like this, like, how did they teach 100 years ago? Blackboard, books, chalk, paper. And why did they teach that way? Well, they didn't have 21st century technology like we do. And wow, it's the way we've always done it, you know? We've always used blackboards, we've always used textbooks. So we've always done it that way. Is it effective? Well, again, oh, we just teach that way because we've always taught that way. Now, this sentence is one of my favorite sentences. We always do something this way because we have always done it this way. I want you to think about this statement and pick an industry. Just look at an industry, apply it to an industry, maybe one you are familiar with, and see if you can improve on the current method involved. Like, example, in a restaurant, is the waiter I'll leave that to you. So yeah, you can pick any industry: telecommunications, hospitality, military, teaching, learning. Thanks for listening. And again, final takeaway. How do we teach? Teaching methods. Are they very effective? Why do we teach this way? Can we teach better? Teach in a better way. Or learn it. Same thing. Teach, learn. Can we learn in a better way? Can we teach in a better way? Leave a comment below. Thanks.